the Detroit Lions have been making some noise. The Detroit Lions have some people talking about them. And we have information from Detroit Lions defensive line assistant coach about what he wants the Detroit Lions defensive line to do next year.
Violence. I want to have the most violent unit up front in all of the NFL. I want guys to know that when they turn on the tape for us, or the opposing team, it's going to be a long full-quarter ball game. And I think it starts with the guys up front on both sides of the ball, but for sure on the defensive line. We're going to be violent. We're going to strike blocks. We're going to go get after the quarterback. But, if there's one thing I want to be known for, it's being violent. That is it. That is all. I tell my guys all the time, violence, 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 and there's no excuse for not playing violently.
So that was the assistant defensive line coach, Cameron Davis, talking about violence on that defensive line, talking about attacking, being angry. And we've talked about it before. We talked about why we love Ndamukong Suh so much is because you can't be nice and play defensive line.
Yep.
You got to be nasty. You got to be wanting to rip somebody's head off every single play. And that is what he's preaching to these guys, is to play with violence. And I love it because we've also seen some things change on that defensive line. Alim McNeill came into OTAs 13% less body fat than he had last year. He's looking mean, he's looking lean, and he's going to get after that quarterback. Aiden Hutchinson, all reports are, dude's yoked up, like much bigger than he was last year. Said he got his own dietitian, he got his own chef. He said last year he didn't have a chef, so he'd just eat carry out pretty much every day. And now those guys are coming in here lean, mean, ready to go, and their defensive line coaches are preaching violence, and I love it. You got to be violent.
That's the trait of a good defense. I mean, that is the single trait of a good defense. You look at the San Francisco 49ers defense, violent. Almost at every level, the linebacker level, the defensive line, and to your secondary too. I think we have that. Kirby Joseph put a man on a fucking helicopter highlight last year. And that is something that's already breathed into this defense. And yes, I hope you sign your defensive line coach that preaches the same thing to a very young defensive line unit. That is the beauty of having a great coaching staff along with a GM that's building this team from brick by brick, from the foundation of it. Mm-hmm. Is that's the main line of this team. That's what keeps them running, is that violence, that grit, all that shit. It's not the good guys, Jim Caldwell era. No. It's the nastiness from the Jim Caldwell. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, from the Jim Schwartz situation that Jim Caldwell got to inherit, and then kind of formulate into like a number 2 defense in the NFL. This you love to hear it. And then you mentioned something that we could have made its own topic, is the Alim McNeill, 13% body fat.
Yep,
that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking nuts. He's that right now? Or
no,
that's like his goal?
He's down 13%.
He's down 13%. Yeah. Okay, I'm about to say, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Some Aaron Donald ass shit.
That's some fucking Ben Wallace ass shit. Ben Wallace is like 6% body fat.
You're right. I think we're kind of like somewhat dismissive too of what the flashes we've seen out of him last year too. Mm-hmm. And Lee McNeill specifically, going back to that New York game where he just completely dominated.
13 pressures.
Yeah. And I know the biggest jump for any guy is like from his rookie year to that second year. But if like the flash we saw out of him this second year is what he is going to be, which I think he may even grow from that. Just because of how this defense is being tinkered with. The 2 different systems, like back-to-back years like that. Brother.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Brad's nice at finding these type of guys. Alim might end up being one of these type of guys. Like, he's been one of the pieces. Yeah, we're asking for another defensive tackle, but that's to put next to Alim. Alim hasn't been a concern.
We know Alim's locked in.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love to hear that about Alim, because it's a guy I have confidence in that you're actually going to see the production out of a change like that. That's not no nonsense article or MMA guys before every fight. It's the best I ever felt. It's the best camp I ever had. No, with Alim, you've seen these things return in production. You know what I'm saying? Like the investment's been given back to you in the New York game. It's just the entire season last year once you got the hang of it, the new system.
Yeah. Chad Fisher put it in the Woodward Sports Chat. Bugs, Kamish, McNeil, Hutch, Houston, strong AF. It's true. Also Josh Pascal. Also Romeo Okwara. Also Julian Okwara. Like they've got a lot of guys in there that they can rotate around. A lot of big dudes that are going to be violent. And I love it, man. I love to see this. I love to hear that that's what he's preaching, because that's what you need on the defensive line. I said it once. I'll say it again. Like, you can't be nice and play defensive line. You got to be nasty. You have to be violent. And you have to want to rip the quarterback or the ball carrier's head off every single play. Because you've got dudes in front of you that are 6'5", 320 pounds that you have to move around to get to that ball carrier.
Yeah.
So you can't be going in there pussyfooting around. You need to put them in the dirt and then attack the ball carrier. And that's like, we know that's how Aleem plays. We know Hutchinson plays with that kind of intensity. So hearing it being preached now to these guys, that makes me happy. It really does.
Yeah, I was reading some of the comments about Lee McNeil that he made. Just again, because the reason why he did it, like you said, he wants to become a better pass rusher, and I think that's what you want out of your defensive tackle. When you look at the secondary, this team's accumulated over the offseason. Yeah, you want everybody to be able to rush the passer, because even if they're not landing up the sack, you're rushing that throw into a backfield full of fucking straight demons.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you saw what Kirby did in his rookie year, bro. CJ leading the league last year, and he didn't even play all 17 games. Cam Sutton, we've been over this before. Led in pass breakups and interceptions combined. Like, that's fucking demons back there.
Yes.
And you get a guy like Aleem, again, who really took to the meeting they had, players-only meeting after the firing of Aubrey Pleasant, and you saw him turn around this year. That same, I don't want to call it one-track mind, but just strong-willed maybe is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
He's going to give it to you. You're going to see the returns from this thing. You're going to get it.
Aleem gonna give it to you.
I'm the boogeyman. Hey, I'm coming to get you. I know JB likes that reference. JB, what do you got to say about it?
No, it's impressive to see that, they're going back to what I feel like is a kind of old school Texas high school type of mentality of just like, hey, being aggressive out here. Violence, violence, violence. Of course, you don't want to see anyone get injured, but you want to see these players play up to this level of intensity that we've been looking at them play their whole entire career. So to see them all together on one team and to have the coach sit here and say, this is what I want from you, this is what I expect of you, man, it's going to be a rough season for every team out there right now.
And then I'm reading too. I don't know what podcast or interview this is part of, but this is where a quote from Lee McNeil, and this is it's easier to accomplish goals when you're bought in.
Yes.
To like the final results. You're bought into like the reality of it becoming a thing. It's tangible. And Lee McNeil on the addition of the backfield is like, we had straight dogs back there. McNeil said, this is out of a POD article. He says, and even just talking about their game, their mentality, their attitude on the field has changed us so much as a defense, because I'm listening to CJ and Cam and them back there. High energy and just talking trash or whatever it is, it just gets me going. So not even football-wise, they get me going. But it's going to be crazy this season, especially with those guys locking people up like that.
Bro, it's facts, man. You got to, like, as much as we had high hopes for the secondary last year, like, you got some legitimate fucking dogs back there this year. Some guys that'll talk shit to you in their face. Some guys that have backed it up by proving the caliber of player they are. Veterans in this league in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Cam Sutton. And then it will just fuel the fire of the entire defense. And it starts with those guys up front. And if Aleem's already talking choppy like that about how they're driving him to be better, man, I fucking love it, dude. I'm so excited to see this defense next year, because I think some people don't really know what the Lions are working with on the defensive side of the ball.
We know. Pat was getting me excited about that shit today. It's going to happen. Aleem's going to be a beast.
Yes.
He switched on and off between the nose and the 3-tech last year. Well, again, last year, I don't want to hype it up as like, third year, continue to grow. But like, let's be real, he is going to continue to grow. And especially in this defense, when you look at, it was his first year in that style, in that system, playing back and forth like that. And AG already said he's going to continue to play like both those positions. Like, I think you're going to see a growth out of the same way. Guys get better in systems. You get more familiar with like the what you're switching, what you're looking for, what you've had success in. Aleem's going to have that this year in this defense. And I think it's reasonable to expect a little bit of a jump from him on top of the moments of production we saw of him last year. And then you got your defensive line coach preaching, violence. Like, I feel like I could be wrong in this one. Obviously, I didn't play defensive line in the NFL, and I never know an NFL coach to tell me like what they want. But I feel like aggressiveness and point of contact, shit like that. But like this regime, violence.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
like,
man.
It's a different word.
Violence, grit. It's all that same kind of mentality of like what Dan Campbell said in his fucking introductory press conference. Biting a kneecap. Making sure if you get knocked down, you come back up and you take a chunk out of their fucking kneecap. Because you don't take that shit anymore. We're the Detroit Lions now. This means something now. Yeah. Go out there and punch him in the mouth. You got fucking Penei Sewell going toe-to-toe, face-to-face with Aaron Donald in the middle of the field. Like, this shit's not sweet over here anymore. You're not going to push around the Detroit Lions anymore. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be violent. And they're going to kick you in your teeth. And I love it, man. That's how you play football. You can't play football and be nice. It is a car collision sport. Like, you need to be aggressive. You need to be violent, especially on the defensive line.
Doesn't matter if you have one
And
ass cheek and
it's
three
one
toes.
thing to
I will
deliver
beat
the
your
message.
ass.
Facts.
It's how you say it. And we talk about it with Dan Campbell. Sometimes you hear him speak, you want to run through a fucking wall. AG, sometimes I hear him speak, I want to run through a fucking wall. The way that, can you play that video just one more time, Chris? The way this message is delivered, bro, it's with that same fucking intensity. It's not just the words being told you. They're being like fucking imprinted into you, expressed into you.
He believes this shit. He feels this shit.
Violence. I want to have the most violent unit up front in all of the NFL. I want guys to know that when they turn on the tape for us, or the opposing team, it's going to be a long full-quarter ball game. And I think it starts with the guys up front on both sides of the ball, but for sure on the defensive line. We're going to be violent. We're going to strike blocks. We're going to go get after the quarterback. But, if there's one thing I want to be known for, it's being violent. That is it. That is all. I tell my guys all the time, violence, 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 and there's no excuse for not playing violently.
Bro, like, I don't know if do you feel the same?
Yeah, man. He means it.
I'm bought in, bro.
Like you said about Aleem, like when it's the achievable part of it is there and it's realistic and you think it's gonna pay off, you work harder. You do shit better. You speak with conviction. You buy in.
Yeah. And
he's bought in, and that's what he means. That's what he's saying. So preaching like that to his players, speaking with conviction, will only get those guys more hyped.
Man, love you guys in the Woodward Chat. If you haven't hit the like button already, please make sure you do.